Good afternoon. My name is Dan Eubank. I am calling the meeting of Floresville Economic Development Corporation. Regular meeting today, Monday, April 15th, 2013. It is 7:09. I'd like to call the roll to establish the quorum. We have Mary Helen Teakin, Jason Talley, Mike Carey, and myself. Those four constitute the quorum, so we will continue. Mr. Jason Talley, would you please lead us in the invocation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag?
Let's bow our heads. Dear God, we just thank you for this day today. We thank you for the opportunity to be here today to do the work for the Economic Development Corporation. We pray, God, that as we debate these items, that you would help us do this in a meaningful way and always in a positive way for the best outcome for the community. We especially want to remember those today that lost their lives in this Boston bombing, and so many were injured today. And we just ask you, Lord, to help eliminate evil in this world, and just pray that you would be with our leadership in this country, that they would stand up against the evil that occurs in so many places. We just thank you, Lord, for the blessings you give us. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Talley. At this time, I will call again for citizen comments. I have asked, requested, no one did. Is there any citizen comment? There's none. Moving to old business, approval of the minutes of the March 4th, 2013.
Read the minutes, and I move to approve those minutes, March 3rd.
I have a motion by Mary Helen Teakin to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second? A second. Second by Mike Curry. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting for March 4th, 2013 for the regular held meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Mr. Talley, would you like to give us the treasurer's report
Yes.
at this time?
These are transactions for the month of March. And I had hoped to have my comparative budget report tonight, but we're going to have to probably put it off just a little while longer. I worked several hours today with Kathy on making that comparative report so that we always know exactly where we stand with our current year-to-date actual versus budget. So we'll always have a good, clear indication of where we fall. So what this is here is a transaction that occurred during the month of March. And what we have done is simply had expenses that we needed to pay, just simply expenses that need to be paid, and nothing extra there. And so when you look at the previous months, we really controlled the spending, and that's what we really wanted to do until we started looking at some of these future projects that we have to complete. I do want to give you a few numbers that's not on that report. 3/15 or March 15th was a deposit of $47,766.24 in the money market account, which was the sales tax revenue received that month. In addition to that, there was $53,000 $28 put into the money market as well, which was the 2-acre land transaction that was completed at the Lone Oak area there. And then the ending balance for 3/31/2013 on the money market account is $671,183.64. And the checking balance at that time for the same period was $1,427.02. In the future, those balances will all be part of the budget report. Now, as I've dived into this, it's really not as easy as you think. We're having to pull, for example, like just today, looking at some of the loan payments. I cannot locate an amortization table on one of the notes that we have of the loan on a village. And so, we need that to be able to know what our interest income versus loan amount is. We have the total loan amount, anybody can calculate that, but we really need to separate, loan versus interest. And so these are things that we're having to kind of dig in and find in some of these accounts. But anyway, that concludes the report, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I would like to add on check number 3576, that was looked like a surveying job, and that was Martin P. What was that survey for? What property?
It was at the Rancho Grande, and it was on the proposed 6 acres that originally had been put on the green belt. That was not surveyed, and it was brought up that they needed an additional 6 acres. And at one time or another, they had mentioned that they would take those 6 acres on the property of the green belt.
Okay.
But it was
Okay. On 311, there's a service charge by the bank for $29.10. When you have $671,000 in there, you're still getting service charges?
Now, that's probably not on the money market account.
Correct.
That's
But
actually-
they don't have them linked together in a way
No.
to avoid that charge?
Which is actually pretty high for what we have.
On the Paloma lease, and contract sale and all, if, you can get me a copy of the note and things like that for you, Mr. Talley, I think I can find a way, maybe figure out, send you a schedule, so it'll help you when you enter into principal payments, if it's split it, because it's probably a first interest by principal.
Right.
So I can send that to you, that program, if that would facilitate, help you with that.
And I did print one, but I was wanting to get your input to see if it makes sense. Now, the other issue that I found in looking at that is that it stated that the note started March of 2010, but for whatever reason, it shows it started in 2009. So our note agreement was due to start March 1, 2010, but the payments started coming in 2009. So that doesn't match up, so I'm having to, we're having to contact probably the
property
gentleman.
owner.
Okay, I'll be glad to assist you.
But we can get the amortization schedule, because what happened is before, that was all put in as income. And really and truly, the interest should only be reflected as the income. So it's things like that that we're having to really comb through and correct.
Very good. Any other questions? Good report, nice to it. Any other questions or committee for Mr. Talley? Committee reports, do we have any other reports on the personnel and our audit committee? Not yet, please, audit.
On the personnel, I've been unaware that there have been additional applicants, so as soon as we can get those together, we need to start working on that quickly so that we can begin the process.
Can I maybe suggest that you review, Mr. Ray? I'd like the minutes to reflect that we were joined by Ray Lambert at 7:19. Thank you for coming. As I was continuing on, maybe after you review those, then we might set up have a personnel committee for us to peruse the applicant for the executive director position. And we go from there. If we're gonna have a forum, actually, we'll need to post it appropriately in court.
How many do we
I believe there's, I think there are about 10 or 12
have?
applicants.
Okay.
Most of them are out of state.
I don't blame them, I wanna come here.
Everybody's wanting to come to Texas.
Very good. Any other thing you'd like to add? No other committee reports, we'll close that. We're going on to executive officer report, Mr. Round.
Okay, first of all, let me go ahead and mention at this time that a day ago, Mr. Strozier, David Strozier, who was the chairman of the board, met with me, and he indicated in our conversation that due to health situations and possibly, family dealings right now, he couldn't devote the time and effort that was needed to be a member of the board. He wanted to be very active, but he said, it's going to limit me to possibly put the total effort that I want to put. He says, so he submitted his resignation. So I hope everybody got a copy of it. So it's unfortunate, but I think he was a good individual that wanted progress to be continued through the FEDC, and we're going to miss him, but nevertheless we have to go on.
In that message, the letter you have before you dated April 11th, and he talked about basically resigning from his position as president of FEDC. Ram confirmed that he did that. We might want to go back to David and ask him maybe if he would clarify it's not just president, that it is from the board and all. And at the next board meeting, we'll need to make consideration of accept his resignation. Any other questions around regarding that issue?
I have a quick question. Since, now that David Strozier, if he did resign from the board, now that you're two members shy, are you going to?
We can't address that issue at this point, it's not on the agenda for this meeting.
Okay.
Thank you for asking us.
Thank you.
And let me go ahead and continue with, we've been, at least from my standpoint, I've been working, and we've been, I'm happy to say at this time that about a week and a half ago, we were fortunate to get notification from our engineer, Mr. Heimer, and from TechStop that the permit that we had been waiting for the industrial park, or the Rancho Grande park on 537 was granted by TechStop. So we now have the permit, and later, in a few minutes, Mr. Heimer is going to address that issue with us for the full board. But we're fortunate to have been able to get it, and now, we're going to have to start through the process. And, eventually, I won't go into much of the detail because I'll have Mr. Heimer address that issue. I think the other things that have been going on, and hopefully that, you've seen the work on the apartments have really been progressing very well. I saw this today, late today, there were still flooring slabs out there, but in one section, they're already starting the rafters, starting putting, studs on the platform that they already done and got them cured already. So very shortly, you're gonna start seeing the frames of the apartments going up very, very quickly. Adjacent to the apartments, you got the state human resources office that is also in almost more than half of that building has been completed already. I talked to the contractor who's doing the work, and he says that very shortly they'll start, you know, on the inside. He said it shouldn't take very long. He said, so those two projects are really going, and eventually once they're done, you know, it's going to be a lot of traffic in that area. We still have some parcels of property in the back of Studio C and in the back of the health department. And we have the other partial land, which is adjacent or right in front of the VA. That is, people have come into the office lately, and they've been inquiring on the property itself. So
How large is that parcel?
it's 6 acres
The one in front of the VA?
in front of the VA.
The
And
whole
then,
section in front there?
yeah, 6 acres. And then in the back portion of Studio C and the other state agency, there's approximately 9 acres back there still that are not,
So 15 that are not permitted.
right.
Wasn't there something that Jesse talked about, another healthcare entity that wanted to go from Atascosa for that?
Yeah, the Atascosa Medical,
Assisted living, wasn't
yeah. And they have, the gentleman that is the director of it came about 3 weeks ago and talked to me, and they're now situated where CVS used to be. That's where they're located right now. But he indicated that they have a facility in Jerrington, they have, or Pleasanton, in between Pleasanton and Jerrington, and then the one here, and they have one in Plant City. And they had been discussing with Mr. Pettis regarding the property in back of the human resources facility. And the individual indicated that they're still talking about it due to financial constraints right now. He says, we're not able to move as fast as we want to. He says, but we would like to possibly, if we build, they like that area. And so I told him, I said, well, hopefully that something can be worked out, or funds can be made available where y'all can build it. But other than those places aside, on the others, we haven't been concentrating too much on the other parks, because eventually we're still looking and trying to find, you know, where we stand financially, because eventually the cost factor on putting the entrance and putting the road to the industrial park is gonna eat up quite a big chunk of money that we have right now. So for that reason, we've been trying to isolate ourselves from the other sections. Not that we don't care about them, but eventually we feel that we need to fulfill that obligation that was committed to those property owners that have purchased property at the industrial park. And I think, you know, I feel for some of them, because I've discussed the situation with them, because eventually in the contract that was signed, you know, it was indicated that within 90 days, a road was going to be built, and there was no way that was going to be done. Nevertheless, I said, if you bear with us and work with us, we eventually will meet that commitment, you know. So they've been very patient with us, and hopefully that in a short period of time, once we get the necessary work that needs to be done, fulfill, you know, our bidding system and getting contractors to eventually bid for the project. You know, we should see a lot of work being done out there.
Ram, do you feel like at this point you have a good set of rules and regulations of what you're expected to do? Because the contracts I saw, every one of them was different. And I think you saw the same thing.
Yeah.
So what is our criteria? What are we obligated to do? Jesse did this, Jesse did that, Jesse's gone.
Yeah.
You know, do we have any clarity of what we're really expected to do?
What?
Well, I mean, everything's obviously in default, none of it's being done like it's promised to be done, so we're at ground zero.
Interrupt me if you want. At this point in time, Howard Berger's been drafting up some language and all to do that. And so, at this point in time, while we haven't done anything officially within the board, we assigned and Howard is working on trying to unify what has occurred out there to get some setbacks, some utility easements and things like that. So Howard is not available tonight, so probably on the next meeting, we'll ask Howard to come and present that so that we could go forward at that time, be a little bit more uniform on where we're going, try to get all the paths and things or closer together.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That was my
that's
point.
where we
And I-
are right
And
now.
I've been reading some of what he said, and I just want to bring that point out in front of everybody that,
Yeah.
you know, we need some clarity before we start throwing money at it.
Right.
And that's where we are, so maybe next time we'll have Howard on the agenda to bring that forward for us to maybe ratify he's doing to go to them and try to negotiate with the current landowners out there.
Yeah, I had asked Howard to be here tonight, but eventually he had to be out of state, and he says, there's no way that I can be there. He says, I'm flying back from DC tonight, he says, and he says, so, but at the next meeting, as soon as I do get back, he says, if y'all have the next meeting, I will be there.
And I think he's on the path to getting some resolution, and I think it's gonna be up to us to go out and sell that in, beg forgiveness, and, you know, get a new set of rules.
I
that we
think
can
so.
live by.
I think so, and, you know, he's also working on, working with the Sunco Water District there. We're working out a water agreement
Great.
that, you know, that.
We don't have a contract with Sunco.
Yeah.
So we don't have one right now, so we've been fortunate, but hopefully that maybe within a short period of time, we will be getting the contract with Sunco on that water.
Thank you. Any other things you need to add, or?
No, I think that we will be discussing some of the other parts, and so I'll be mentioning it, you know.
Okay, one thing, if we did close on the Rodriguez track
Oh, yeah.
and all, we have brought the HUD in here, if anyone wants to see the HUD, and I encourage you to look at the HUD on that, it's part of the information. And we have that available for y'all to prepare. Any other questions, the Executive Officer Ramirez? If not, we're gonna move to the first item of new business, the discussion and consideration and action on board procedure as to what procedures to take now that the income permit has been obtained from TxDOT at Industrial Park. And I believe Mr. Larry Heimer is in attendance here, city engineer, who I believe helped secure that TxDOT. So Ms. Heimer, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you at this time, and thank you for your attendance.
Sure. Question I stand.
Anywhere you want to.
Okay. Basically, we received the driveway permit on March 28th. It's good for 6 months, so we have to start construction of that driveway before then, before the end of September. So that's be something just to make sure we don't lose that, because last time the driveway permits were issued, and I guess one was built and the other two expired, and so that's where we ran into all this problem with the TxDOT, and because of the Eagle Ford shale traffic. At one time, we were looking at having to widen the entire width of the property to address TxDOT's concern, but fortunately now they've come back and a little more reasonable, and we have a more normal driveway approach. We have to do about a 3-foot widening of base material on the north side of 537 across from the driveway. But other than that, the rest of the driveway approach is pretty much a standard commercial driveway. The plans have been, construction documents are done for that, so we are ready to go to construction whenever you want to do that. You know, the cost of that, you know, is probably, again, but the cost, construction cost around here is the way they are. It's hard to predict what that'll be, but it'll probably be something in the $50,000 range, maybe $100,000 range, in that range. But again, it's so hard to predict because of trying to find qualified contractors and folks that can come in and do that. So it's quite a much better scenario than what it was a few months back. So we had talked about going out to bid for that. You know, maybe it would be good to have it a separate little contract. Maybe that would not be the thing to do, but you know, to do that, publicly bid that, we'd have to go through and prepare bid documents, go through a public advertisement process, and then select a bidder or contractor, or typically the lowest bid, lowest qualified bid, get a contract with them and have them proceed with construction. And that's basically everything within TxDOT right away. It comes inside the property about 30 or 40 feet to complete the radius coming in. But that's what that would entail. We talked with Mr. Ramirez about possibly including the detention pond work with that. And we can do that. At this point in time, I haven't heard for sure if the county has approved the drainage report that we submitted a while back. Have you all gotten any correspondence back from the county on that?
There have been some meetings that have taken place, Larry, and I believe that they're in the final process of finalizing it.
Okay. Well, I think the first thing we do there is make sure we understood what they had approved. If we have approved report, and then we prepare construction documents for those ponds. There would be as with the driveway, there's going to be a need for some geotechnical construction materials testing on the detention ponds, because one pond in particular has a pretty significant dam being built, or berm being built to retain water. And we need to get some soil testing done to make sure we use the right kind of material for that core of that dam. So, you know, a lot of the material in this part of the country has a silty clay material. It's not very good for creating a dam. So you've got to make sure you have a significant amount of clay in that material. And so we have to make sure we bring on board a testing lab and geotech to make sure that material is good. But I think certainly we can bid together. I mean, the driveway would maybe be more suited to go with the cost of the construction of the road, maybe, because one's earthwork process, one's earthwork type contract, whereas the driveway is more of a paving type contract. And so it may make more sense to not combine those two together, because they're two different kinds of construction. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, it would make more sense to, if money was available, to bid part of the completion of those roads out there with the driveway. But we can do it anyway. I mean, from the standpoint of cost, it will probably cost us about $1,500 to $2,000 to handle the bid process. Construction-based services, probably, you know, if it's just the driveway, and it should be pretty quick. You know, our cost to kind of handle construction-based services, again, we don't do on-site inspection, but we're there. We handle the pre-construction activities, monitor the construction from the standpoint of receiving his pay estimates and making sure that the work has been done, and provide you a recommendation for payment. And then at the end of the job, we do kind of a final punch list to make sure it's done properly, and provide you a document that says the work has been completed and we would recommend payment. So it's just the driveway. It's not as much construction-based services. It's probably, you know, $1,500 maybe, $2,000 the most. Depends how the contractor goes. If he drags it out, it takes forever to do it. It normally costs us more money to do that, to handle all the construction-based services. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I want to give you all the different aspects here. If we went forward and did the ponds, we estimated the ponds would cost around $700,000, and if the past estimates we've done, hopefully that's high, but I can't say for sure it is or not at this point. But to prepare construction documents for a project of that magnitude is probably about $25,000 to $30,000. And again, the bid process is the same pretty much. It's basically the same front-end documents. We work with your attorney to make sure the contract is what y'all want to use. And we have that, the general conditions properly done. Then the construction phase services for the ponds, because it's a bigger, more extensive project, that might be $3,000 in time, right, in getting that process done, where you handle the pre-construction meeting and review payment request, and then do a kind of a final review of completion and provide y'all something that says it's been done. So I know I've kind of went through a bunch of different items here tonight, but I wanted to get a sense from y'all what y'all were thinking. Last time we met, this was a couple of months ago, after our meeting, y'all were asking questions about the cost of completion of the roads, and I think I sent you that next day, a real quick, kind of a ballpark estimate. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
Again, they were just very quick estimates of cost, and I don't have that with me tonight, but
What do you remember about?
Do you remember what it was?
General,
I,
got a lot of flexibility.
yeah, I don't know. Do you recall? I wish I'd have brought it with me last night for the meeting tonight, but that next morning I sat down and I went through and I went through real quickly and just defined these zones, different areas, what it costs for this street, and I can't recall what those numbers were, and I wish I'd have brought that with me, but I didn't. I'll find that information and get that to you in the morning, but I just don't have it with me right now. I was prepared to talk about the driveway and the ponds tonight primarily, but.
Okay, if you were to going through the same process and continuing on, if you were to do the construction services for the road, what kind of numbers do you estimate the consultant fees and for would be on that?
The road, I think the question there is what's there. I mean, we need to verify, and we talked about having someone do some borings or test holes to see what's there, and how much base has been installed, and is that adequate? And if it's not adequate for that type of traffic loading that's out there, the heavy trucks, we may need to have them bring in another lift of base material to get the road up to where it can handle the load. But that's probably a little bit more uncertain. I mean, we can probably, from a construction standpoint, I'm just guessing $15,000 or $20,000 of trying to pull all this together and trying to put it on a construction document form that you could go out to public bids on. But again, we need to get a geotech involved just to make sure that we know how much basis there, and then just again, the bottom line, y'all want to know that whatever we put down is going to have a life expectancy of something, because
This is the one road going from the front to the back?
well, there's a road going front to the, I guess there's a road that goes to the intersection.
Yeah, so what are we talking about, just the one road, or are we talking about?
Well, from a standpoint of I guess,
When we say road, that sounds like one road.
yeah. I wished I'd have brought those estimates with me, because there's different segments. There's the road that comes in now to the first intersection, and that's kind of where when I last time I was out there, where the base material kind of ended. And
There's no base where the road is. Same.
And then from that point, from all different directions, it's a graded, kind of a graded area, but I don't think there's base down. And so the key there is trying to figure out what's there, and where is the base, and where isn't the base. And then once we know that, we can prepare a plan that describes what's required in certain areas. Certain segments may need the full 10, 12 inches of base, and other areas may just need a lift of 6 inches of base. And that's where the time and cost comes in for my firm, is determining that and trying to figure out what that is, because when the contractors bid this, they're going to want to know how many square yards of base material goes in there. And that's what they base their price on. If the quantity isn't right, then it's a big change order. So I wish I could give you, and I can probably come back to you here within the next few days and send you a more detailed scope on that road work. Tonight I was prepared to talk about we can do the driveway and the detention ponds. As we talked about, Mr. Morris earlier, but I could certainly include something for the entire project to get all the roads built, including, you know, the base, determining how much base is there, and then also the driveway and the ponds, if that's what you want to do.
But aren't these X-dot curb cuts here, they supersede the ponds? I mean, we have a time window here,
Right.
a short fuse.
Yeah, the
This
driveway.
is the bleeding artery. The ponds, you know, we can negotiate, negotiate again, and come from 650 to whatever, but, you know, this, we don't have a lot of time
Yeah,
with.
but the
We
driveway.
can live without the ponds.
Yeah, the driveway, I think, is very important, and actually don't lose sight of that 6 month, because if it expires, who knows what Textile will want next time around.
Well, this is something you can get your arms around. The pond is too big to put your arms around now.
Right.
Well, it hasn't exactly been flooding lately.
I haven't noticed that much runoff.
So-
I wish you do a study now.
Well,
So-
and then the other thing we have to really identify is, we talked about last time, about that road, is maybe having a turnaround down there somewhere, or something where it ends, and not going all the way to the end, because
Yeah.
there may not be a need for that, so.
Right.
Are you talking about Rancho Grande back in Arizona?
Yeah, the
All the way
entrance.
back.
All the way to
It
the
needs
back.
to go all the way back. Gas Pack bought 30 acres, and their entrance is gonna be on that side. And they're fixing to build a $6.9 million facility once their road is in.
They're gonna be coming in at the far, southern entrance
At
of the
the
road.
end- At the end of Rancho Grande.
On the right-hand
The
side.
part that's not paved or anything, just kind of graded.
Right, I guess my question is,
Mhm.
they're having their entrance at the very end of it,
Of Rancho
on
Grande.
the south?
And there's, you know, there's not any right of way, at least on the survey that I've seen, there's no turnaround area to allow you to build a road across these tracks if the property's already been sold.
Yeah, my question is, they're gonna have the entrance way down here?
No.
He's talking about the
There's an
individual.
entrance, but coming into these people,
The
the
property owner.
gas racks, are they gonna come in here?
Yes, they are.
On the very end?
They're gonna
No,
go
but
come right in the middle. They're gonna have an
middle.
entrance here and
Okay, and that's what my question is, if their last entrance is here, we might could work out agreement where we don't have to pay that last 1,000 feet or so and save the money for it, correct?
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly where the entrance is gonna be then, at the point, how far down it
I can get that for you, because we were able to tell me on that.
is. Great.
Yeah, that would save a lot of money if you could determine where their main entry is, and if they don't need the rest of the road, well, then there's no point in building it. Save quite a bit of money.
For both sides. Wonderful. For full, yeah.
Barry, that paper that I put in there is that, you know, the gentleman that did some work on the road,
Okay?
that company did some compact testing, you know.
It looks like the depth, if this is the depth of what the base, they've got 6 inches all the way through, so I don't know if that's the subgrade or if that's the base thickness, but I can call him and confirm
Yeah,
what that
because
is.
these were,
That's significantly short of what we need to be there.
Yeah, I think for trucks like we're talking about, we probably need 10 or 12 inches of compacted flexible base.
Well, it'd be good.
Yeah, I think 12 is what we show in our plans, and, but the problem is that those trucks, you know, they need to have a heavier base section, more so than asphalt pavement.
Any of you people wanna see this report that's in the audience? Impact themselves?
You know, it might be a good idea to try to bid out the driveway, because it's a small enough job that, you know, gonna be a lot more people who can go and do that work. And it may be better to keep it separate, and that way you aren't risking losing that.
If we lose that opportunity, it's gonna be very expensive to get it back.
So that would be a way to kind of test the waters out there and see what the pricing is.
And you said you already prepared construction documents?
Yeah, the construction documents are done. We had to have those get texted out to give the permit. So we just need to do the kind of the bid documents, the front end general conditions, the bid advertisement, the contract, and any special conditions and specifications that go with that. That's just a book that usually is prepared that goes along with the plans. And there I just need to coordinate with the attorney just to make sure we understand what, you know, we typically use some standard engineers type contract documents, and we used those same type of documents for the lift station that was put in up there for the Walmart project. And so we already have some documents that I think Howard has looked at and was okay with. So that, I don't expect that to be a big issue, trying to redevelop a whole new set of contracts.
Mr. Talley, I know it's a little bit further down in H, we talked about developing, implementing a purchasing policy.
Right.
It's also about engaging in construction contracts, you know. What limit was it that was going to be the recommendation there that for any bid that was going to exceed a certain de minimis level, we were going to go out for bids on that? I guess I'm asking, is it 15?
Well, state requires 50, but we had talked about 15, you know, as a
15
sealed,
now?
as a sealed bid type situation.
If I can
Anything
add-
less than that would
I'm
be.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but according to the charter, there's a provision in their projects for approval, all new construction projects over 25,000 entered into by the city or the 4A and 4B corporations of the city must be competitively bid. So it's in the charter already.
Well, I guess my question is, they're looking at doing possibly two bids here. One for a consultant to oversee the project. And we've had an estimate that might be $1,500. We have to
That's
bid
what,
that.
that's in the bid documents. Then on the construction side, it's, you know, depending on the contractor, it could be another $1,000 for the construction
Okay.
phase. So we're looking at probably, you know, $2,500, $3,000 of the bidding and the construction phase service for the driveway.
So, to hire, engage in a consultant for a fee gonna be in the $2,500 to $3,000, is what I'm trying to get a confirmation discussion on. We can do that without going out for bids if we want to expedite this process tonight. As far as going out for the bids for the 50 to 100,000 for the entrance document, we're gonna have to bid that. So I don't know if there's any desires on trying to go ahead and get a consultant on this, and time is critical. Leading the discussion here, trying to explore what y'all want to do.
I think you need to move right along with that. I said, I think we can move along with that.
Well, so if you're gonna, we have consideration in action, so we can take consideration in action on procedures and to do this, so I think that would fall within it, if that's the board's desire to engage someone to do that.
I make a motion that we engage Mr. Heimer to move forward with this document.
I have a motion.
So can you clarify, make that a little more clear?
What do you want to say? Exactly.
We'll
We're talking about
prepare the documents
for the entrance,
industrial park.
entrance, or Rancho Grande Industrial Park entrance.
Okay, I'm gonna add lib into this in, that you're making a motion to engage Heimer firm on a fee not to exceed $3,500 on a cost basis or something of that nature, prepare a bid document, and to monitor the bid process and construction process on that, for the entrance or rear of Rancho Grande.
That's correct.
Does that sound complete?
Yes.
Have a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Do you feel that meets your window of cost there?
I think you said $3,500 maximum.
Not
I think
to
that's fine. Yeah, I mean, my only concern is the township, you get a contractor that just drags things out. You know, we're gonna put a pretty tight time on the contract, and
That's my question.
we're gonna make it, you know, make sure that it doesn't drag it out. It's gonna be something complete within 60 days or less.
Did I understand you to say that you really don't ride herd on the
I don't do inspections, but, you know, what we do is, we typically go out there on a monthly basis, probably to check, if it does go that long, this is a small project, so depending on how long the contractor drags things
So
out.
who's watching them
I guess we could look and see, the question is, we could come down there at certain times, but I can't have somebody out there, I can't have somebody out there every day, but that's gonna be very expensive, and I don't think this project warrants that. I think the key there is we probably need to, we talk to Floresville and see if we could get some, depending on what we're gonna do, we have an option to do concrete or asphalt. We're gonna bid it out both ways and see what the pricing is, and I assume the asphalt's gonna be cheaper, but.
With your trucks turning, that concrete's gonna last long.
Oh, I know it, that's true, so we have to look at the difference in price and make a decision, once we get the bids in, we'll have the options to look at. And then we can decide, if the concrete option is, $120,000 and the asphalt option is $75,000, well, you may say, well, let's do asphalt, but if it's not that far apart, but you're right, it's gonna last a lot more with those trucks turning.
Those heavy trucks, they're turning on the.
It'll last much longer, there won't be any maintenance issues to deal with right away.
But in the phases of this project, whatever contractor is hired, they're having to do it to these specs.
Right.
Is there a TxDOT engineer that also comes out because it is a TxDOT
Yeah,
project?
you have to, notify TxDOT 48 hours prior to start construction. They come out and they have a kind of a pre-construction meeting, which we're involved with, and they tell the contractor, here's how you do things. Traffic signs, go out here, control signs here, and things like that, and they kind of go over the work that they want to see, because again, most of this work is in their right of way.
They're gonna require samples of the
Yes,
concrete.
and so, but you are available to help us identify the phases that are complete. Therefore,
Yes.
you say, based on our knowledge of this,
Right.
this is done to specs, and you can go ahead and cut that second check or whatever.
Right. Well, in the contract documents, we'll describe that contractor submits a draw request, and we give them the format. It's got to be in by a certain time, by the end of the month. And then we usually have a meeting on the site with them, go through what he's done, check things out, make sure that what he's saying he's done, and then we'll provide you, we'll sign off on it and say we recommend approval of the payment. And then at the end of the job, we'll probably do like a punch list, kind of walk through and see if there's any issues where something's not right, we'll have them fix that. And then after that's done, we'll issue, make a recommendation to make final payment.
Right.
And he'll retain 5 or 10% each time he does a draw. But again, this is a small job, so hopefully it won't last more than 2 months.
And I think in this process, core samples for the concrete, the pre-inspection, I heard him say they do that for the grids or for the bars that they're putting in, so I think we.
One of the things, I need to get with that geotech and just see, if, what the testing will be on that, just to make sure that, if we can cover it with $3,500, we will, but if it's gonna be, $2,000, and I need to come back and talk with y'all about that
Okay.
particular stuff, that
That's
contract,
right.
maybe have them contact directly with y'all or something.
Okay.
There needs to be some testing done. If it's asphalt base, we want to check the density, make sure the base is compacted properly and it meets the spec. And then if there's asphalt, make sure the asphalt meets the spec. And that's usually a materials testing company that does that.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other discussion items or call for the vote? I have a motion and a second that we hire Ms. Heimer and his firm,
Beery Partners.
Variant Partners, on a fee not to exceed $3,500, provide the construction service and consultant fee, prepare a bid document, bid process, and construction oversight for the entrance into Rancho Grande. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passed. Now, on a similar matter, we need to consider if we want to go out for bid, since he's talking about on the pond consulting fees similar to that, and also on the road, if we're increasing the cost on those to possibly $30,000 plus $3,000, and then geoteching, and then same thing on the roads, possibly $20,000 plus $3,000. So we're talking $30,000, $35,000, and $25,000 to $30,000 on those. We need to decide if we are going to want to bid those consultant fees and services out due to the increasing cost too. So that's something that, does the board have it, the thoughts on that?
I think we need to, before we address that, maybe we need to discuss the purchasing policy a
Okay,
little bit, and we'll move to that, because really on the whole road issue, I think this is the start, and then we need to really get a good handle on where we think this road's going, know where we could end it. We might be able to end it a little sooner than we thought, and once we have a handle there, then we can reconvene with those those.
We'll bring that up in the ladder, that, keep that.
It's baby steps.
Okay. Good.
Getting this going is gonna be a positive thing, because I think then the business owners see that, look, okay, there's progress.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is.
That doesn't mean it's gonna take very long to get the other things done, but I think we can get a better handle on some of those estimated costs that you talked about and go from there.
If there's no further discussion on new business, item A, I'm moving on to new business, item B, discussion and consideration on board recommendations to be made on the 2-acre tract where house is located, industrial, ground lease, rent. I guess the third one, if they do nothing, the fourth option, so. Thank you, Mr. Hyman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
In my opinion, I think we should sell it. I don't think we should be in the leasing or renting business. When people move out after they rent it, then we have to go back in and have more expenditures.
Where's that house? Is it
I agree with you, Mr. Chair, we need to sell it, but I think we need to identify, on part of these contracts, they say there's, nobody can live there.
Oh.
You know, so
I didn't know that.
there's no man camps, you can't do this. Other people's, their contract says you can do anything you want to.
On your map that you have, question mark, where is it? Did you come off of the state highway, come down here, it's right here?
Yeah.
At this location, you can see a well, water well on it, and that is the house back there behind it, and all.
There's a building.
So that's the location that where we're talking
Smack
about.
dab in the middle.
What is the condition of it? Because I remember being in the property when this property was first built, and it was,
I think they've done.
They did some work on it,
Wasn't somebody using it as an office?
no. One of the companies
They did.
eventually,
They did use it as an office.
Temporarily.
I think temporarily, but they did some work, they put a new roof, they put a new septic tank unit in it, and they did some work on the inside. It's in pretty good
Is it
condition.
on a slab or is it on a
Some-
fair?
yeah.
It's something you could market, but you could specify in your marketing that it could not be used for housing, it's gonna be used for an office
Somebody off the property.
or whatever.
Some of the people that have indicated interest in it